Welcome to The Real World. My name is Cameron, joined by Carson.
That's right.
Today we're talking about the most anticipated movies of 2025. Here we go. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Real World Podcast. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified of all our videos. We're all about movies here. And now we are all about 2025 movies. Because It's a new year.
Yep.
And all new movies are going to come out this year.
Yes.
And so we are ecstatic about a lot of movies, but specifically these 10. Mm-hmm. We've each gone our separate ways and created our own lists.
That's right. We'll see if we overlap or not. But
I'm sure there's going to be at least a couple.
These are the ones to watch, folks.
Yeah, these are the ones to watch out for.
The upcoming year.
Yes, and there's many more, I'm sure, that'll end up coming out. You know, some, like when I looked at my 2024 list, I was like, a lot of these weren't on my most anticipated list of 2024.
Exactly.
But they ended up being great. So
right, yeah.
It's interesting to see kind of what you expect, what you're hoping for, and then what ends up actually being on your list.
Exactly.
So we're going to kick things off right now. Carson's going to kick us off with his number 10.
Okay, so before I jump up with my number 10, I wanted to give a couple honorable mentions for movies that are coming out that I think you should watch out for but didn't quite make my top 10 most anticipated.
Okay.
One of those being The Running Man, which is a remake that's coming up soon.
Yep.
By Edgar Wright.
That's right. One of our favorite directors.
An exciting director who's going to take on a project that is a remake.
And Glenn Powell's going to star.
Right.
So that's very promising.
That's definitely one that to be on the lookout for that, again, didn't quite make my list.
Yep.
Another one is a movie called Love Hurts.
Oh, yeah. This looks fun.
This is I don't know much about this movie. I just know that it's a stuntman director. And we've had a slew of stuntman directors lately.
Right. Yep.
They've all been promising, so that's definitely the exciting action to be had probably there. For sure. I don't know much about it again, but the only other one I'll mention before getting in my top 10 is Karate Kid Legends.
Oh, sure, yes.
This is one that I'm excited for, but again, not as excited as these other 10.
Yeah.
So definitely look out for Karate Kid Legends. It's going to have Jackie Chan and
Ralph Macchio.
That's right. They're going to team up, and there's a new Karate Kid, and looks pretty exciting.
It does. I'm glad you mentioned that. We asked on the Facebook group what people are most looking forward to, and that was one that was mentioned by none other than Bert.
Oh, great.
My co-host of the podcast.
Yes, thank you, Bert.
He is looking forward to Karate Kid Legends.
Yes,
that was one that he mentioned.
Definitely one I'm excited for as well. For sure. But into my number 10.
Hold on, let me give an honorable mention too.
Okay.
Wolfman.
Okay.
Lee Winnell is a director who just did a remake of The Invisible Man a few years ago.
That's right.
Phenomenal job with that. Yeah. So I'm really excited what he's going to do with the werewolf idea.
Awesome.
That's coming up pretty soon.
Sweet.
And so that was one I wanted to mention.
Okay, great.
And anyways, go ahead with your number 10.
Okay, so my number 10 is a film called Black Bag.
Oh,
Black Bag.
Yes.
This is a Steven Soderbergh movie.
Yep.
Who directed Logan Lucky. He did the Ocean's movies.
Mm-hmm.
And just based on the title alone, Black Bag sounds like another heist kind of misadventure movie.
Right.
Very excited to see what he has for us in the upcoming year.
Yeah, but this one looks more serious. This one looks like it's going to be a kind of... I looked at it as sort of the dramatic version of Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Okay.
Like two spies, they're married.
Right.
One goes rogue. The other one has to take the other one out.
Great.
And so that one does look very compelling. Michael Fassbender is in it, who's one of our favorites. And Cate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Is also great. So, yeah, that's definitely one that's on my list that we should be looking out for. But my number 10 is from a director I really like.
Okay.
He directed Black Panther. He directed Creed.
This one's a lot higher on my list.
Ryan Coogler, man.
Ryan Coogler.
This guy is such a great filmmaker. And he's doing this movie called Sinners.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
They've worked together in many films. And he's playing twins.
Okay.
And it's set in like the 30s.
Yeah.
Deep South.
Mm-hmm.
But it supposedly is a vampire movie.
Okay.
Now the trailer doesn't really show you that.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of hints at like something weird's going on.
Sure.
You don't know what. But I think it's come out that it's supposed to be a vampire film.
Interesting.
And so it's him dabbling into the horror genre, which he hasn't done yet.
Right.
So that's why I'm really excited.
Yeah, definitely excited for that as well. I'll talk about it a little bit later.
Okay, what do you have at 9?
My number 9 is Marty Supreme.
Oh, yeah. This looks good.
This is the guy who did Uncut Gems.
That's right.
It's a movie set in the 1950s about a ping pong star.
That's right. That's right.
And that just sounds great. It sounds delightful.
Got Timothée Chalamet.
He's back in it again.
Timothy, he's the best.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I loved Uncut Gems. I think he's such a great director.
For sure.
And definitely one to watch out for. Marty Supreme.
A biopic.
Yeah.
Which the Safdie brothers have not done yet.
Right.
So I think the other Safdie brothers doing a biopic too with The Rock.
Oh, interesting.
So that'll be interesting to see
Very
what they
cool.
end up
Very
doing
cool.
there. For my number 9, I went to Marvel. Marvel, they've had a rough go of it of late.
All right.
They're in need of a win. Let's say that.
Sure.
And they've got a couple movies coming out next year. Actually, 3. One of them is called Thunderbolts. And I think Thunderbolts actually looks really cool.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
Sure.
It's kind of Marvel's answer to Suicide Squad. But I like the mix of characters because these are all characters. Some of them are established, but some of them we haven't really seen a ton of.
Sure.
And I feel like expanding on them could really help.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's going to be a lot of action, of course. I'm curious to see how certain things that have been set up, like Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, Valentina, she's going to be in it, play a major role. So I'm curious to see where they go with all of that. And I think it could be really compelling. There's also this new character who's being introduced. He's only referred to as Bob in the trailer.
Okay.
Played by, I think his name's Lewis Pullman, who was in Top Gun Maverick. He's Bill Pullman's son, one of my favorite actors. And the rumor is he's playing Sentry from the Marvel Comics. He's a huge, extremely powerful character, kind of like their Superman almost. So that has me really intrigued too.
Okay, interesting.
So the trailer it got me interested. And the things I've heard around it are really interesting.
Great.
It looks like it could be a little different from a lot of these team-up films.
There's another character named Hydra Bob.
Hydra Bob. Oh, really?
His name is Hydra Bob.
Okay.
And he's a funny guy.
Okay.
So
maybe it's him.
Maybe it's him. Far cry from Sentry. Very, very different character.
Right.
But
all right.
Interesting.
That's my number 9. What do you have at 8?
My number 8 is Tron Ares.
Oh, yeah.
We've waited for a sequel to Tron Legacy for...
Over a decade.
Yeah,
15 years now.
And I'm excited for this. Jared Leto is involved.
Jeff Bridges is back.
Jeff Bridges making a return. And isn't what is his name? The guy from he plays Quicksilver from the Fox universe.
We're talking about Evan Peters.
Evan Peters.
Yes, Evan
Peters.
Yes.
Cameron
Monaghan is in this.
That's right.
Yeah.
So a stacked cast of very interesting actors. And a world I'm really excited to return to.
Yeah, for sure.
Just give me more Tron. I'm a big fan of Tron.
Yes,
so
more Tron is great.
I don't know a lot of what the plot is or what it's about or anything, and I think, honestly, with projects like this, the less you know, the better.
Yeah.
So, I'm totally interested in Tron Ares.
Yeah, we do know that they're finally going into the real world. Ares is a program sent to the real world from the game of Tron. That's going to be neat. That was set up, of course, at the end of Legacy.
Sure.
That they would come into the real world.
Right.
Very curious about that one as well. All right, well, we're jumping now to my number 8, which is a movie called Elio.
Okay.
Pixar
is
making this.
Yep.
It looks so interesting.
Yeah, for
sure. Pixar, they rarely miss. And they're just
some would say never.
So consistent, that studio.
Yeah. They have high standards there.
They do, which is good. And so this is like a sci-fi story. This little kid gets abducted by aliens, and I think he's like the ambassador of Earth.
Yeah, this is very high for me on anticipated.
You can talk about it later, but all I'll say is that the trailer and the images that we've seen look very intriguing. And it looks like another very unique story for Pixar.
For sure.
What do you have at number 7?
My number 7 is a movie called Ash.
I looked at that.
I don't know if you've heard of Ash. It looks really good. Kind of looks like an anime-influenced movie. I think it's a first-time director.
It is.
And just all I have is the poster art,
right?
And just a little like the sense of the vibe there.
Sure.
And it looks like something new and fresh and exciting.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me excited for movies. Is this isn't a sequel? This isn't based on something.
Nope.
It's maybe influenced by some things, but it's trying to be its own thing, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Great pick. My number 7 is the Fantastic Four. First Steps.
Okay. Didn't quite make my list.
The Fantastic Four have had a hard go at it.
They have.
In cinema. Mm-hmm. And I like the first 2 movies with, Chris Evans
and
Jessica Alba. Michael Chiklis is like the perfect thing.
He is.
Ian Griffin is great as Mr. Fantastic.
I think those movies are very underrated.
They're really fun. Of course, the 2015 remake is a big mess.
Sure.
Which we won't get into all that. I'm sure we'll have a big Fantastic Four podcast.
No one has handled Doctor Doom well.
Exactly. So this is intriguing because it's obviously with Marvel Studios now. So it's in the MCU or in the multiverse, I guess, of the MCU.
Sure.
But it's going to be set in the 60s.
Right.
They've got their little robot buddy. Supposedly they're going to have kids. They're already established. They're not going to go over the origin story again.
Okay.
The things that have been put out there, the images, the concept art, all of that looks very different from any kind of Fantastic Four thing we've seen before.
Yeah.
It looks like they are going to lean into the Incredibles style.
Sure.
Is really what it looks like to me.
Right.
It's a family of superheroes.
Michael Giacchino's score is what I'm most excited for when it comes to this movie.
Yeah.
But he's done a thing like this before in Incredibles, so I don't know what new thing he's going to bring to the table. I mean, he always does a great job, but Fantastic Four. I'm a fan of Fantastic Four.
Sure.
They just haven't excited me lately.
I see.
So waiting for
a trailer. We need to see a trailer.
I guess a trailer, but I feel like a trailer is just going to disappoint me.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be very different.
I loved the initial image they released.
Yeah, that was great.
Of the family during Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
that was great.
Really cool.
If that was it, I'd watch it.
Yeah, it's got this retro futurist vibe that reminds me of like Tomorrowland, like Disney, Walt Disney's.
And if it leans into that, great. But I have just this bad feeling that it's just going to go full Galactus and it's just all this nonsense and just wreck it.
Yeah.
So
hopefully they keep the family first.
Yeah.
Marvel's first family first.
Exactly.
All right, that was my number 7. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is 28 Years Later.
That's my number 6.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. This is a third film in a trilogy of movies that we love. 28 weeks and days.
Mm-hmm. They skipped months for some reason.
They skipped months.
The next one will be decades, I guess, or I don't know. Centuries,
28 centuries later. It's in the far future.
Yeah. But this franchise is cool. It's one of those that you wouldn't really expect to be a franchise. The first one is totally a standalone
It's kind of a proto A Quiet Place franchise. In
some ways, yeah.
Where it's like a post-apocalyptic thing where it's a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
But the first movie has such a unique take on that.
Yeah.
It's a guy waking up from a coma 28 days after the apocalypse.
Right.
And what is that like? Yeah. And it's such a cool entry point into a story like that.
Cillian Murphy's great in that.
And then you love 28 Weeks Later even more.
It's Jeremy Renner. I mean, he's one of my favorite actors, and they did a great job of kind of upping the stakes and giving us a little more action. Mm-hmm. I thought the sequel was even better than the first, actually.
Yeah.
So this one I have a lot of hope for. The trailer just was released.
Right.
It's one of the best trailers I've honestly seen in years.
Sure.
I would say.
Sure.
I mean, it got me really engaged in like, whoa, this looks crazy.
It definitely does its job.
It definitely
does its job to get you excited.
Put butts in seats.
Right. Exactly. These movies have always had a great sense of intensity. Mm-hmm. Intensity, I think, is the key word to all these movies.
For sure.
And so it makes them all work.
Yeah.
Because the version of zombies that they have going for them is essentially just unbridled rage.
Yes.
It's just, if you're a zombie, you're just angry. And you just want to destroy everything.
Right.
So I hope that translates and that they evolve the story. Now that it's 28 years later.
Sure.
What are you saying now?
Yes, exactly. I agree.
So what is your number 6?
At number 6, I have a movie titled Mickey 17.
Oh boy. We're going to talk about that one.
Oh, that was my number 5.
Oh, that's your number 5. Okay. Well, your 6 was 28 years.
Correct.
Okay.
So, yes. So my number 5 is Mickey 17.
Okay.
What a great trailer. Again,
Yep.
talk about great trailers. I mean, that one just really made me go,
big time.
Wow. I mean, Bong Joon-ho, fantastic director.
For sure.
Parasite, Snowpiercer, one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. And it's, of course, got Robert Pattinson, who's one of my favorite working actors today.
Yep.
So this is just such an intriguing plot. The whole cloning idea hasn't been explored a lot in cinema.
Oh yeah,
really.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely talk about this one. This is a little later on my list.
They're doing something so interesting here.
Yeah.
It just looks so different.
It's
got this darkly humorous tone.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Great.
I'm psyched.
All right, so that was my 5. What's your 5?
My 5 is The Day the Earth Blew Up, the Looney Tunes movie.
Yes. This was so close to making my list.
This I'm a huge Looney Tunes fan.
Me too.
I just love hand-drawn animation, and the fact that we're getting a movie that's going to be 2D animated. Yes. Not since 2011.
I know.
Have we had a theatrically released 2D movie?
I know.
To this scale.
Correct.
To this scale. I mean, we've had things here and there.
Sure.
Every year we get a little something, but
some Miyazaki.
Again, this is a big Looney Tunes movie. It's a big release. Yeah. And I'm stoked. I'm just stoked for it.
It's a sci-fi from the title. It's playing on the day the Earth stood still.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what
kind got a Looney Tunes
fun
spin
they're going to have with all the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah. And honestly, if it's terrible, I won't necessarily be shocked.
Right.
Because the last Looney Tunes movie was terrible.
Yeah. Space Jam:
But there's something about this that just the few images that they've released and what little I know about it really kind of gets in my good graces and gets me excited to see it. So.
I agree. I'm very excited about that. It's Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. Yeah. Both voiced by Eric Bauza, who was just on the Tuned In podcast with Jim Cummings.
Yes, very good.
Watch that episode. That'll get you even more excited for this movie.
Great.
He talked all about it. So, very interested
in
that
Very excited to see it.
All right, so my number 4.
Okay.
Another Marvel film.
Okay.
Captain America: Brave New World.
Interesting.
I am very excited about this.
I am very unexcited for
I know,
this.
most people are. Yeah. Most people are. First of all, Harrison Ford. I mean, he's my favorite actor.
That's the draw.
It's going to be one that I'm just like, him in that world.
Yeah.
Especially as this character, I think is perfect casting. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, it looks like kind of in the same vein as Winter Soldier, like this political thriller with superheroes. Yeah. Which I think is a great concept. I also love that Sam Wilson doesn't have any superpowers. He's got his own Falcon now.
Sure.
There's no Bucky.
Yeah.
It's just him and this political intrigue. And another thing that I'm so excited to see is Tim Blake Nelson back as Samuel Stearns. The leader. Yeah. He's one of the best comic book villains, I think, ever.
For sure. Yeah. Super excited to see him.
So really,
we've been waiting forever to see that come to fruition.
2008.
Yeah.
I mean, literally like 2 decades almost.
Shocking.
So very interested in that. It may end up being terrible because this movie has gone through
I know
tons of reshoots.
All of the behind the scenes chaos that's happened just loses all of my hopes for it.
I know. I get it. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah. I get it.
All right, let's go to number 3. Or your number 4.
My number 4 is Sinners, the Ryan Coogler movie we just talked about
earlier. Yeah.
Very excited for his take on this. I think he's a terrific director. This looks like, again, it's a movie that's not based on anything. Yeah. It's someone's original vision. Right. And when you're a director like Ryan Coogler, you can really go full throttle into what you want to do.
Yes.
And that's exciting. So, yeah, definitely excited to see a new take on whatever this is. If it's zombies, if it's vampires, if it's something else completely, if it's whatever. Right. It looks like it's going to be an exciting new take on this kind of horror thriller genre.
Right.
So,
for sure.
I'm stoked to see it.
Haley Steinfeld's in that, too.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite actors. We just rewatched the Hawkeye series. She's great in that.
She's terrific.
All right, my number 3. It's a third movie in a franchise.
That's probably my number 3 is... Oh, it's not. Oh, a third in a franchise.
Avatar, Fire and Ash.
Fire and Ash.
James Cameron. Another master director.
Yeah.
He has created this world that's just become so intriguing to me and so just full of diversity and intriguing characters and plots.
Yeah.
And
the world of Pandora is so fascinating.
The effects here that he's just pushing the bounds every time. The Way of Water, I was like, Avatar 2, okay. I guess I'll go see it.
Yeah.
But it blew me away. I mean, it was in every way better than the first.
Yeah.
And so if that trend continues, then we're in for a treat.
For sure. I agree.
Very interested to see what the Fire and Ash refers to, the volcano people of Pandora.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see. So, all right, that's my number 3. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Superman.
Superman.
James Gunn's Superman film.
Okay.
I'm excited for this movie. I've been excited for it for over a year.
Yeah.
I'm just ready for James Gunn to tell us his Superman story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know he's got one.
Yep.
I know it's good.
Yep.
He's talked about it before.
Right.
Outside of interviews for Superman.
Sure.
Before he was doing Superman.
Right.
He's talked about Superman. So I'm excited to see his take on this. The cast is stellar. I think the teaser trailer was great.
Yep.
I think everything looks right. I think everything sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting for that James Gunn story.
Yeah.
That's what I'm most excited for.
Yeah.
That's what I'm anticipating.
Yeah. Well, it's my number 2. So
okay.
It's perfect timing.
Great.
I'm a huge Superman fan. He's
Yeah.
my favorite superhero, one of my favorite characters.
I think he's another one of those classic Hollywood characters, even though he's really only been around properly since the 70s in Hollywood.
Right.
He's another one of those classic characters that need movies. We
Yes,
need to make movies about these characters like this.
Correct. Yeah, he's heroic. He's altruistic.
Yeah.
He's a great character, and people say he's boring, but he's furthest thing from boring. If you read any of the comics, you know that. The Smallville series, which is one of our favorites.
He's kind of a Jimmy Stewart character, almost.
Sure.
He is that very kind of G. Willikers, nice guy.
Right.
Who has a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm excited to see what... And again, James Gunn, he has such a clear vision for every movie he does.
Right.
But the tone is what I'm most anxious about.
Yeah.
Are you going to go
Guardians
the
of the
Suicide
Galaxy?
Squad?
Yeah.
Is this going to be Guardians? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Right.
Because it's got to be different.
It's got to be different.
Superman doesn't fit into the Suicide Squad. He doesn't fit into Guardians of the Galaxy even.
Yeah, sure.
But he is an outsider.
Sure.
He is an outcast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you can still tell a James Gunn story, I think.
Yeah. Gives me a lot of hope. I think, the cast looks a little crowded.
Okay.
That has me a little concerned. I hope it's focused in on Superman and his story and what's going on with him. But he's also, he's setting up the DCU. He's setting up this whole new world that we're being introduced to. So
you know what's had a crowded cast? Avengers Endgame.
That's very true. So, yeah, I'm very intrigued by it. I think I'm very hopeful for it.
Mm-hmm.
A few things have me concerned, but I think we're ultimately going to get a great Superman story.
Sure.
I really do.
Yeah,
I really do. He has a lot of passion, you can tell, for the story he's telling.
Yeah.
So that's my number 2, which, you might be surprised by that being my number 2, because he's my favorite superhero.
Definitely.
But there is another movie that I feel like if I had to choose between seeing the new Superman or this, I kind of think I have to choose it. That's why I ended up at number 1. Do we have the same number 1?
We don't have the same number 1.
Oh, we don't?
Your number 1 isn't even on my list.
Wow.
Because I'm done with this series.
Interesting.
I know what your number 1 is, and I'm not interested.
What's your number 1 then?
So, my 2 and my 1. Because I haven't done my 2 yet.
Oh, you haven't done your 2?
No,
I just did my 2. Right.
My 2 is Elio, the new Pixar film.
Oh, the Pixar film. Sure.
I'm psyched for Elio.
Yeah.
The idea, just the premise, it's a little boy who's in Boy Scouts who gets abducted by aliens, and the aliens think he is the representative of the planet Earth. Mm-hmm. So he has to represent Earth to all of these alien civilizations.
Right. He's just a kid.
And he's just a kid.
He doesn't even watch the news.
It's so great.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on.
I love it. I love that idea. I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah.
The animation style looks top-notch. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Just the concept art they released years ago.
The alien design,
fantastic. So creative, so vibrant, so full of life and hope. Mm-hmm. We've got the people who did the Burrow short with the bunny rabbit.
I like that one. Yeah.
And the Bow short.
Oh, really? Oh.
Both of them are involved.
Very good.
In directing.
Very good shorts.
So gives me high hopes. Get that young blood in there.
Sure.
Those new visions, those new voices.
Yep.
And make something really exciting.
Yeah, that's
Elio looks great. And my number 1.
Well, you want to get my number 1, or you want to do
my number 1? We already talked about.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Mickey 17.
Oh, sure. Yes, of course.
Bong Joon-ho, I think, is top 5 greatest directors working today.
Wow.
He is just blown me away with every one of his films. Has been
they're all great.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Snowpiercer stands out as one of my favorites ever that he's done. Parasite was amazing.
Sure.
And now Mickey 17 looks to be another quirky take on a sci-fi trope.
Yeah, right.
Cloning.
Yeah.
Done in a weird way.
Right.
That almost looks like it's going to be sort of a Groundhog Day story. But done, again, through the eyes of clones. Like you said, it has kind of a dark sense of humor that a lot of his movies have.
Yeah.
He kind of strikes a good balance, I think, between telling a dramatic story and having those quirky, weird things happen. Very excited. I've loved all of his movies from, I think the earliest of his I've seen is The Host, all the way up until this. So I'm just over the moon excited for Mickey 17.
Great pick. It definitely looks very interesting and very unique. My number one, it's Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning.
The Final Reckoning.
Yes.
Yes.
This franchise.
The Last Reckoning.
Right. Well, that was the Dead Reckoning. The Last Reckoning was the Dead Reckoning. This is the Final Reckoning.
The last one and the final one.
Right. Yeah. It's Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Right. So we had the Last Reckoning, and now we have
the Final
Reckoning.
Right, exactly. Because this is the final film in the franchise.
Yeah.
At least for Tom Cruise, it is. I'm sure the studio is going to want to continue it with some new young actor, you know. They kind of seem to have set up Haley Atwell as maybe being the new lead.
As Grace,
which has me very
in that
intrigued.
movie. She was great.
I
would love to see more of her character for sure.
I would too.
Everything else about that movie I despised.
Yeah, I don't hate it as much as you, but it's definitely one of the weaker ones.
Yeah.
I think all of these films are top notch when it comes to action, stunts, special effects, all that stuff. It just blows everything else away, basically. Right. Story-wise, I wasn't as intrigued. There's things they did in it that I liked that I think this movie can really capitalize on. I kind of don't like the whole split it into two parts thing.
Exactly.
Because one feels like all setup and the other one feels like all payoff, and it doesn't feel like a complete story.
Yep.
So not a fan of that. But I think this film is going to really end it with a bang.
That's my hope.
I think we're going to finally get Ethan's full backstory on who this guy is. We don't know after 9 movies. We still have no idea what his backstory is really at all.
Right.
I think that's intriguing. I think the stunts that they've shown in the teaser are wild, crazy stunts again, which we've come to expect. And I feel like we kind of take for granted almost now.
Sure.
Like, oh yeah, he's on the side of a plane now. He's underwater. You know, but really, when you think about like what he's doing, he's putting his life on the line every single time he's going out here. So that has me intrigued. I hope the characters are all brought to a satisfying resolution. Because I love Benji.
Yeah.
I love Luther.
Gotta love Luther.
You know, all those characters are just so great.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to do here. There's a lot to live up to. But look, when you have Cruise and we have Chris McQuarrie, I mean, this team is like the greatest director-actor team.
Sure.
Maybe that's ever existed.
They're very good.
They're just
very dedicated.
Very dedicated, very passionate.
Yeah.
Trying to one-up themselves every time.
Definitely.
And so there's a lot of hope.
The only thing, again, that really holds this movie back from me being excited about it is I wish it didn't have the baggage of having to do all this stuff. Of having to create a satisfying resolution to everything, and on top of that, be a good movie.
Right.
I wish we were back to Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
Where a new director can come in and just tell a Mission Impossible story. And just have that. I think bogging these movies down with too much continuity kind of is diminishing the point.
Sure. I get that. But I also, at the same time, kind of like that we've had that.
Sure.
And now we're going to say, hey, all this has mattered. This is all now telling one big story. You know, they brought back Kittredge from the original movie. You know, stuff like that they're doing that I'm like, okay, so this is like all my time invested in this franchise for the past 30 years. Matters. You know what I mean? So, but again, like you said, it's a lot to live up to. So it kind of makes it a little more challenging, but I think they're up to the task. And I think we're really going to dig this new final, at least for now.
Great. Movie. Yeah, awesome.
Another one we have to mention.
Dogman.
Very
excited for Dogman.
Dogman looks great.
I'm unironically excited for Dogman.
I actually do think that looks pretty good. No, but our brother would be so sad, our youngest brother, if we didn't mention Jurassic World Rebirth.
That's right. Jurassic World Rebirth, starring Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
It's going to have raptor-human hybrids.
We don't know. We don't know what.
There's going to be raptor-human hybrids in the movie. It's going to happen.
They've never said this.
Set your calendars, folks. Because we're getting those raptor-human hybrids, finally.
We've heard about since Jurassic Park 3.
We've been building this since Jurassic Park 3. Raptors are going to speak like people, and people are going to run like raptors.
No, it looks like, I mean, it could be fun. It could be terrible. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I
don't know
like
which I would enjoy more. I don't know if I'd like it to be terrible or really good.
I don't know either. So yeah, there's that one. There's several others. So let us know. Maybe we didn't mention your most anticipated movie. Let us know in the comments. Give us your top 10. What do you want to see the most? Again, there's a lot coming out, so there's some that we haven't even mentioned. But we definitely are looking forward to this year in film.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
We'll be bringing you all the latest reactions and reviews on the channel, right?
There's a lot we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about some of our least anticipated movies. How to Train Your Dragon, live action.
Yeah.
Lilo and Stitch, live action.
Yeah.
Snow White, live action.
A Minecraft movie.
Minecraft, live
partially
action.
live action.
What's the point of this?
Yeah, I don't know.
We're going to get so much... It's amazing, really. Because we just did our 2025 as well. Or 2024.
Yeah, the best.
And there's a lot we didn't talk about that was terrible that year.
Sure.
So, yeah, 2025 hopefully will look to be a stronger year in general.
Right. There's always those gems, though. Like I said, many of these that I'm looking at my 2024 list again, I wasn't even thinking about at the beginning of 2024. Yeah. So that could very well happen again. It usually does happen. And so, yeah, I'm very interested to see what ends up rising to the top.
Definitely.
Because there's definitely a lot to look forward to, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, again, leave us your most anticipated films of 2025 in the comments down below. We'd love to have a conversation with you there. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified of all our videos, and we'll see you next time right here on The Real World.